Hello, everyone. I'm here tonight with Kevin Bradford, winner of our Lorcana locals. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty goofy. Pretty goofy today.
Pretty goofy.
Yeah.
Oh, that gives us a little hint here. What'd you play tonight?
I played Ruby Amethyst, Cherry Grape, and I had to play a lot of aggro today, which made me sweat today. So forgive that.
A lot of aggro today. All right.
Whole lot of
let's
aggro
see
today.
your take on Cherry Grape, as you call it. Definitely a lot of people playing this deck, but the slots are pretty contested in some areas.
Yes, they are, and I'm going to make everybody who's more sweaty than me angry. Okay, here we go. So first and foremost, we have our one slots is the classic 4-chip the teacup and 3 Sergeant Tibbs. I opted to do 7 because I need to make sure I hit on curve, especially against aggro, which actually just destroys me.
But why not Archimedes over Chip? That's the question for the fans.
Because look at him. There we go. That's it. That's all.
Archimedes. RIP.
Yep. After that, our 2 slot is 4 Madam M Snake and 2 Pinocchio, which was actually the MVP today. This card is actually just crazy.
Yeah, for people that don't know, that Pinocchio comes in and exerts an opposing character that your opponent controls, and that is absolutely fantastic for setting up things like Fox and Maui as removal slots.
Yep, and then you can just keep bouncing it back with things like the Snake or the Fox. You drop this and you Fox, and you have an insane turn 5.
Absolutely.
The reason that I opted for this instead of Teeth and Ambitions against aggro is because these guys are fightier against it, whereas if you have the Olafs and the Minis, you can't swing into things and beat them, especially with things that have 2. Which a lot of things have 2 willpower. Whereas these guys, you can hit them, and there's something in my 3 slot that I will also add in place of the Teeth and Ambitions. So I sacrifice on the Uninkables a little bit, but I find that this is just way better against the aggro match.
I got you. So if you don't want to run the Teeth and kind of run those 1/3s that live through some of the steel board wipes, then you definitely want to be on the Pinocchios to control your opponent's board.
Correct, because turn 2, you can Pinocchio their Pinocchio, and then swing into it, and they miss out on 3 more.
Yep, and you can also do things like tap their Cinderella down and hit it with the Sergeant Tibbs, which 100%. Has to feel really good.
Yep, you Tibbs their Cinderella, and then Steel Song cannot hit you with that Savage Let the Storm Rage one. So next is the 3 slot, which is the biggest slot for us. We have the 4 Maleficent. We have 2 Crab, which this actually won me a game today. I think this card's insane. More people are talking about it. I just only have good things to say about it. It's a fantastic card.
And it plays really well with the Pinocchio.
Yep. We have 4 Mini Surfer. Just an insane. It's such a good Yu-Gi-Oh card. You need to play 4 of this. It's just nuts. It's just evasive in a quest for 2. There's not much else to say about that. And then we have the standard 4 Madam M Fox. And that's it for the characters. We have 4 Friends from the Other Side, 2 Diabolical Scheme, which this is the other card that I cut teeth for. This with my Maleficent, who can sing it and sacrifice herself, help you out the aggro things that you need to do. Like, this has such a heavy pivot into aggro because that's one of my hardest matchups. You just stomp those out with these guys and your Pinocchios. You just hit them out early game, you take all their resources out of the way, and then you just hit them with the top end that it's going to be coming later on. And then you turn the corner with Be Prepared. And 1 Sorcerer's Spellbook. You can go to 2 with this. Card's solid. I love it, but you can't not play it.
It just gives you another threat that they have to worry about and calculate into their lore calculations, as well as serving as a resilient way to just kind of gain the few extra lore to close out the game.
Absolutely. And then this also helps the mirror match. So I want to maybe get 2, but I kind of like where I'm at. So the 4 slot is just 4 Rabbit and 4 Goat. Pretty self-explanatory. People go to 3 of this. I like 4. I'm a greedy player. That's really it for the 4 slot. It's nothing too crazy. And here's where everything gets a little wonky. My 5 slot is 2 Goofy, 2 Dragonfire, and 4 Maui. That's what we're working with today.
So typically you don't see Goofies. The Dragonfires are a little bit more fringe, but definitely played. I think with the Goofies, they make more sense than just out of context.
Yep.
And then the 4 Maui is just that always been the go-to 5-drop if you are in that red color.
Yes, absolutely. Maui's just cracked. I usually ink Maui, but when he comes in clutch, he's just an insane card. And as I get to be a better player, I will understand this better. I'm just not the best player. That is all that it is. But Your Goofy gives you extra pressure, and it gives you something crazy on turn 5 that allows you to pivot into your end game and keep up with things that are trying to race you. Also, they can't really contest this, almost anyone, and this also beats out the Mickey. You swing at the Mickey not Mickey, Minnie Mouse, the surfer.
Right, so this is incredible in the mirror. If you think it's going to come down to a race and you want to get ahead, it's a resilient threat that doesn't die to Maui that is going to quest, but it also takes out their surfers if they got ahead early to help swing it back in your favor.
100%.
Yeah,
and
I think that makes a lot of
found
sense.
that I needed more of the mid-range in here, and this just kind of made it better. We tried Stitch Abomination, cards cracked, but we found that this is just better.
Yeah, the evasive threats were the way to go in set 1, and I think that's true in set 2 if you're really trying to bust open that mirror.
Absolutely. For our 6 drops, we played none. They're all trash. We go straight into... I love Tremaine. I'm opting for different things. We got 2 Ursula, going back to the OG roots. And for Be Prepared, for our 7 slot, this card just swings the tempo of the match so heavy. And this can take you from a losing spot into taking them right out of lethal. And then you have 3 that you're going to swing for plus everything else. Or you can sing your Be Prepared. And then you get to drop your rabbit, or rabbit, goat, whatever you need to. Card's just insane. I absolutely love it. And it helps you draw. Card's nuts. And then bouncing it back on turn 9 with a snake and then replaying it is just so good.
Yeah, having something to manipulate the opponent's lore, especially in something like the mirror match where goats are such a worry or spell books coming off the top, you have to have something in that slot. And given that you're on 0 Tremaine, I think the Ursula makes a ton of sense. We saw that in set 1 as well as a way to bust open the mirror.
100%. And I found that the Tremaines don't necessarily bring you into a kill zone as much as this card does. The 3 mixed with the next card that's going to be coming up, these just make you quest on a pivot, on a dime, really, really quick into game, into lethal.
Yeah, so the 3 questers always ending the game.
Yep, absolutely.
It's tough.
Absolutely. So I absolutely love this. If anything, I might go up one of this or one of the next card that I'm showing, which is... I'm playing 2 of Elsa. This actually won me some games tonight as well. I think this card's crazy. I don't think this card has ever not been good. I think people just got off of it and were interested in the new shiny stuff like the Tremaines and the Yzmas. But I opted for these over 2 Tremaine for Yzma or 4 Tremaine for whatever it is. I opted for these guys, and Goofies. It allows me to keep some ink with the Goofies. And instead of 4 Tremaine, I just do these guys. These guys end the game. Like, it's good to be fighty with the Tremaines. I'd rather just race you in the mid-game and then just stop you with these guys and just swing in.
I think together you start to see the picture of a solid game plan for the mirror, especially in a game like Lorcana where there is no sideboard, where maybe this is a package you would go to your side deck and bring in. But instead, you're opting to make your main board this way to give yourself a solid plan and a solid edge in the mirror, which is so important right now with the red-purple or cherry grape, as you call it, being so popular.
Yep. And to round it out, my last of my top end is the 4 Maleficent Dragon. I've seen people cut this. I think that's totally fine. I like it. When it comes out, it's awesome. If it doesn't come out, it's ink for the entire game.
I'm going to disagree with you. That card's probably the best card in your deck and should always be a 4 of.
I think that's fair enough.
If you draw it too early, just put it in your ink. The dragon's coming. Yeah. The dragon trades with everything, and it closes the game out the same as your other one.
Fair enough. I think that the people who are cutting this for Tremaines, they have a spot at the table, but I think that this is just correct.
I think if you're playing into an open metagame and you want to say Tremaine is good on 6, I think you're absolutely correct. I think if you are very prepared for a specific matchup and you have a plan for it, sometimes Tremaine doesn't make the cut.
Yep. And at this point, my hardest matchup is actually Lime Steel. That card, if you can't race the draw with their discard, until you get to your Be Prepared, you kind of just lose, but the spellbook helps out with that, and the Ursulas also help out with it as well. Other than that, I built this so that I could hit the mirror match, and so I could beat out the aggro, and then once I perfect the Steel Lime, I think that this deck is where it needs to be. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I can tell that you put a lot of work in tuning it and kind of theory crafting through how you planned on fighting the mirror and fighting aggro, and it paid off in a big way tonight as you beat out 2 aggro decks.
Yes, I did. And yeah, I went into game 3 with both of them, or the third game, the third match. I went into game 3.
Gotcha.
Yep. And the first game, they were at 14 lore, to my 0, and I swung it around with the Ursulas and the Elsas.
I can definitely see the comeback potential there.
Absolutely.
Congrats on the first place overall tonight.
Thank you.
And beating
I
out those
appreciate
bad
that.
matchups. I'm excited to see where this deck kind of transforms into in the future. So thank you so much for this deck tech and the interview. And have a
Absolutely.
great night.
You as well.